That suggests something very, very worrying about the capacity of non-US NATO countries to operate at any degree of independence.
You called the international withdrawal a total betrayal and a catastrophic failure. What should the UK government have done differently?
The key point is that I believe very, very strongly that we had a position that could have been sustained in Afghanistan, that a relatively light footprint would have been capable of preventing the Taliban from holding district capitals for a prolonged period of time. In other words, essentially what had been happening since 2014, which is that the Taliban was a rural insurgency that was capable occasionally of taking district capitals, but then was driven out, was something that could have been maintained with relatively few international troops, and in particular with international air power. Would it have been possible, once the US had announced that it was going to go, for the other NATO countries to take up that slack? And I think the way in which that would have had to happen is with the US agreeing to continue to provide a lot of the enablers, perhaps a lot of the civilian contractor support for the planes, but some sort of agreement where the UK, France, Turkey, Germany, Italy, Spain, and others would say to President Biden, okay, you can get your boots off the ground, which is what you're committed to, but we need the following forms of support. If it really were entirely impossible to do that, that suggests something very, very worrying about the capacity of non-US NATO countries to operate at any degree of independence. I mean, after all, the French seem to be able to operate with a certain degree of independence in Mali, and I would have thought that it should not have been beyond the wit of man to imagine keeping a few thousand coalition soldiers on the ground, particularly if you had an intelligent conversation with the US about the type of support and enablers they might have been able to provide.